Moral Orel, more like Kyle the troublemaker. Oh my god, this show sucks. This show's a huge ripoff of Davy and Goliath, which was way better than this, and this show is a parody version of Davy and Goliath. Now let me tell you the reasons why I hate this show. 1. The main problem with this show is having a habit of misinterpreting relevant putty Sunday sermons to the point of disaster. Orel Puppington, voiced by Carolyn Lawrence, is a devout young Christiana boy who cheerfully and Machiavelli deals with an abusive father, an emotionally distant mother and the hypocrisy of the religious adults he encounters. Throughout the series, he learns the true nature of his parents and the town, expanding his childlike worldview. He is optimistic and innocent almost to a fault, ending up in upsetting situations because of this. Clay Puppington, voiced by Ascot Adsit, is Orel's repressed and hateful father. He is a deconstruction of the typical 50s nuclear fatherly role and holds strongly to a traditional style of parenting. He is a cynical alcoholic and a closeted homosexual. Alternatively, he can be interpreted as being bisexual, who hates his dead-end job, where it is revealed that he is Moralton's mayor, and his wife, Bloberta. He is widely regarded as the series' main antagonist and expresses abusive behavior to his entire family. In his childhood, he had a clingy and overly attached relationship with his mother until her death. He was led to feel worthless by his emotionally frigid father out of guilt from his mother's death, which affects his emotions and relationship with Orel greatly and has left him broken beyond repair. Bloberta Puppington, voiced by Abrida Phillips, is Orel's obsessive-compulsive, soft-spoken, yet emotionally distant mother. She tends to ignore all conflicts or problems and shares contempt for her husband, Clay. She is shown to clean things and, in Season 3, perform self-mutilation obsessively as a means to distract herself from underlying feelings of inferiority in her household. She is a people-pleaser and wants to help people for love, sometimes to manipulative extremes. While she holds a cheerful yet dim-witted persona, she is secretly depressive and wishes for a better life. Shapey Puppington, voiced by Tigger Stamentopoulos, Orel's half-brother, is a misbehaving, developmentally stunted 7-year-old who does little but yell and scream, usually incoherently, and act out. Physically behaves more like a toddler. Until the episode Sacrifice, his dialogue only consists of a few different words. The show, predominantly in the first season and second seasons, excluding the nature two-parter, is a straightforward satire of the archetypes of middle American suburban life, modern-day white Anglo-Saxon Protestant culture, and religious fundamentalism. The nature two-parter and final season is featured in a non-linear but episode-to-episode continuity, in which it showcased the show's shift from a satirical black comedy to a nihilistic and bleak psychological comedy drama, depicting the convictions and mentalities of other characters, meant as an expansion on subplots from the first 2 seasons, exploring topics such as child sexual abuse, rape, abortion, and latent homosexuality. The series has been described as Davy and Goliath meets a South Park. 3a However, Stamentopoulos denies the comparison with a Davy and Goliath, telling the New York Times that Orel grew out of a concept for a send-up of I'll Leave It to Beaver's style 1950s sitcom that would star Iggy Pop. 4a The series received widespread acclaim from critics and audiences alike for the performances, characterization, emotional weight, and the frank depiction of its subject matter, and has developed a cult following over the years. At the 2008 San Diego Comic-Con, Stamentopoulos announced that the show would not be renewed for a 4th season. Citation needed. The final season was aired interspersed with repeats from the first 2 seasons, as many of the episodes took place in parallel with events of past episodes. The event, which was called 44 Nights of Orel, was hosted by Stamentopoulos and others and started on October 6, 2008, running through December 18, when the series finale premiered. 6a prequel special entitled Before Orel, Trust, meant as an exploration of the origin of Orel's Christianity, later aired on November 19, 2012. The first season of the show follows a standard formula, in which Orel hears a sermon given by Reverend Rod Putty in church on Sunday, and then proceeds to have a misadventure based on his attempts to live by his, usually warped, interpretation of the sermon and its lesson. At the end of each episode, his father would sternly put a halt to the situation and correct Orel, by means of corporal punishment, only to offer an even more warped interpretation. In the first season, typically one of Clay's lots of commandments, of the church sermon, a running gag of the show was that before the ending credits ran, Clay's pants would fall down when he stood from his chair, as he had earlier removed his belt to punish Orel. Throughout the season, the series' primary characters are introduced and various subplots are established, such as Orel's father being a closeted bisexual in love with Orel's gym teacher, and Orel's mother being an unhappily married housewife feeling trapped in her marriage. The format of the second season of the show breaks that of the first season and begins to build upon subplots introduced in the first season, making them the primary focus of the show. While still the protagonist and primary character, Orel becomes less a catalyst for each episode's events than an unwitting bystander often left confused and dejected at the end, finding himself unable to reconcile his optimistic nature and faith with the corruption and cynicism of the adults around him, particularly his father. The season culminates in a two-part episode dealing with a camping trip during which Orel lost all faith and trust in his father. The season finally Nature, Part 1, and Nature, Part 2a marks a far darker turn in the series' tone, emphasizing the cynical parody of the previous episodes in favor of exploring more disturbing themes. The third and final season of the show is structured as an interconnecting 13-part story dealing with the events leading up to and during the camping trip, and their far-reaching implications. It is revealed that during the trip, Clay gets drunk and shoots Orel in the leg, afterward showing a complete lack of remorse or sense of responsibility. The series culminates in the ultimate dissolution of Clay's relationship with Orel's coach, and the revelation that Orel will one day be able to put his traumatic childhood behind him to raise a better family than the one in which he grew up. Originally, before being cut down to a 13-episode third season and later cancelled, the show was intended to have 2 more seasons and evolve into a show titled Moralton that would revolve around the life of the residents of Moralton as a whole. 1. The series was troubled throughout its run. Against the wishes of creator Stamentopoulos, the Christmas-themed first season finale, The Best Christmas Ever, was aired as the series premiere. Adult Swim wanted to debut the show in December as part of a holiday-themed programming block. The episode featured the culmination of numerous story arcs developed throughout the first season and ended with a cliffhanger, confusing viewers and prompting questions on Adult Swim's message boards as to whether or not the episode was a one-off practical joke. When the series eventually premiered, 3 episodes of the first season were held back from airing because the network's standards practice department found them to be too dark and sexually explicit. 10 all were eventually approved to air in May 2006 and the third aired on July 31, 2006. The series was ultimately cancelled with 7 scripts left unproduced, cutting the third season down from the intended 20 episodes to 13. Rap and the designs with the characters make them more rejects from Puppet. On top of that, aside from having a completely forgettable design, Orel looks like a Davy ripoff from Davy and Goliath and Clay looks like John Reject from Davy and Goliath. Certainly makes this show more like a preschool show or a 1961 cartoon wannabe, and that's how the show is. Thank God this show got cancelled in 2008. I don't know who likes or hates the show, so I'm gonna leave it be. That's all I would like to say about this piece of shit. So screw Moral Orel, and screw Robot Chicken. Davy and Goliath is 100,000 times better than Moral Orel. End of rant.